What's going on, Bengals fans? Chris Daughtry back with you guys here on Bengals Breakdown, and we are now just a few days away from the NFL trade deadline, and ESPN dropped an article the other day highlighting all of the latest trade buzz for all 32 NFL teams, and I know you guys are probably just like me, and you're kind of tired about talking about trades because at the end of the day, the Bengals probably aren't going to make one. But, hey, look, you guys can subscribe right here to Bengals Breakdown. We're only 31 subscribers away from our next goal of 22.5 thousand subscribers. And look, we're all probably mad about the way the season is going right now for the Cincinnati Bengals. But if you are subscribed, or if you're not subscribed, hit that sub button, and we can all be mad together. All right, so this is where we sit right now. Bengals are 3-5, had an opportunity to be 4-4 on the season, but you blew that game against the Jets. You have the Bears up next this weekend, and you are at a very pivotal point in the season right now. ESPN currently has the Bengals right now at a 12.4% chance of making this year's playoffs. And if you're already, thinking about the NFL draft right now, well, they would be projected at the number 9 pick in this year's NFL draft. So, the Bengals right now, do they want to get better? Do they want to get worse? Do they want to stay exactly where they're at? We're going to talk about all that here on today's video. So what ESPN did, they had 4 different categories that we're going to talk about on today's show. And basically what they did was they had 4 different ESPN NFL insiders kind of give up their little bit of a 2 cents about each category here. The first category, what are the Bengals going to do? Are they going to add a player or 2 or 3, whatever, at the NFL trade deadline? Are they going to sell, whether that's Trey Hendrickson or whoever else out there, or are they just going to sit pat and not do anything? Well, Dan Graziano had the first one from ESPN here saying, man, if they had just beaten the Jets, the way they should have on Sunday, the Bengals would be 500 and probably hitting the gas pedal in the winnable AFC North, but they didn't. And that leaves them in limbo. I'm going to say that the Bengals don't do anything. Trading away edge rusher Trey Hendrickson is the popular theory, but I don't get the sense that they are considering it. He even threw in there that obviously the Bengals also made one deal already before the NFL trade deadline, trading for Joe Flacco. This, to me, is just the least fun move possible. Look, if you're making trades and adding to the team, it would at least show us as fans that the front office cares a little bit. And if you as the front office are at least trying to make something happen, maybe it might not work out. It might be the wrong move, but at least you're trying something at the end of the day. If you're selling pieces, at least you are, acquiring draft assets to make the team a little bit better that way. You might be, selling on the season, but at least you're trying to do stuff a little bit different. I don't know how anybody could watch this Bengals defense right now and have any type of confidence that they're just going to magically get better as the season goes on here. But none of us are really going to be surprised, I don't think. If the Bengals end up doing anything, it certainly wouldn't surprise me. All right, down at the pinned comment of today's video. What is the percent chance that the Bengals make a trade before Tuesday? Let me know what you guys think down at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, the second category here. What are the key positions that the Bengals need to target right now at the NFL trade deadline if they were to go out and make any trades? I think there's a couple different positions that, immediately come to mind for me. Aaron Schatz went a little bit of a different route here, saying offensive guard. Jalen Rivers, a 5th-round rookie at right guard right now, ranks second to last amongst qualifying players at his position in pass blocking win rate at 84.7%. I don't know, man. I was reading this article and I was kind of dumbfounded a little bit. To me, how about just insert a defensive player here? There's a lot of different things that you could pick from. You have one trade that, you can make, and you choose guard. To me, that just doesn't really make much sense. How about adding some pass rush help? How about adding a defensive tackle? Linebacker is a, issue right now. Obviously, you've got those young guys that, you're trying to develop and try to come along a little bit, and you do have Oren Burks, and as of right now anyways, you do also have Logan Wilson, so you do have some veteran depth there at linebacker. Maybe safety is another one that you could think of. Maybe, Cornerback is another one that really does come to mind to me. I mean, Jalen Rivers hasn't been great this year, but, he's not even the worst offensive lineman you have right now. I think Orlando Brown is far and away the worst offensive lineman you have right now. And, you're probably not going to do anything there just because he is going to be a free agent at the end of the season. But I don't totally disagree that, going out and trading for a guard could help you. But in my opinion, I think Orlando Brown or, if Orlando Brown and Amarius Mims, one of those guys goes down, Cody Ford is the only other player that you have right now on the active roster that could step in for those guys. So, offensive line might be a need. It's definitely something that we've talked about before. But, man, if you've got one trade to make, it would be on the defense. And there's a bunch of different positions that you could choose from there. So name a position that the Bengals need help at. Maybe it's offensive guard. Maybe you agree with that take. I personally think it's somewhere on the defense. Let me know a position that you think the Bengals need help at. All right, we'll continue with 2 more categories here in just a second. But first, today's show is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks right now is the official sponsor of tailgating. From legendary burgers to mouthwatering steaks, deli-style franks, and so much more, you'll elevate your next game day get-together with America's original butcher. For more than a century, Omaha Steaks has delivered the world's best steak experience. Omaha Steaks' legendary flavor is served in stadiums and homes across the country, and right now, you guys, the loyal watchers here of Bengals Breakdown, you guys can get $35 off at omahasteaks.com just by using promo code Bengals at checkout. Terms do apply, and you can see that website for extra details. But guys, it's not just steak. They have chicken, they have desserts. They've even got their very own seasonings as well. You can choose from a bunch of different types of bundles that they have from on the Omaha Steaks website right now. And, maybe you're not necessarily a fan of turkey or ham or something like that around Thanksgiving. You can maybe switch it up this year and go for some, filet mignon or something like that from Omaha Steaks. So make game day delicious with the official sponsor of tailgating and visit omahasteaks.com. Get $35 off just by using promo code Bengals at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. Use promo code Bengals at checkout to get $35 off. Terms do apply, and you can see that website for extra details. That link's going to be down in the comment section and the description of today's video. We appreciate Omaha Steaks for being the sponsor of today's show. All right, so the next category that ESPN talked about here, who could actually be traded for the Bengals? And we've talked about a bunch of different types of, situations, scenarios, different players that the Bengals could end up trading for or trading away from. And, the number one name has been Trey Hendrickson, but it doesn't really seem like that's going to really be a legitimate possibility for the Bengals. Seems like they want to, stick with Trey Hendrickson because they're not going to get a first-round pick for him at the end of the day. This is what Ben Baby from ESPN said about some possible trade candidates. The most likely trade candidate for the Bengals is going to be linebacker Logan Wilson. He requested a trade after Cincinnati opted to go with rookies Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight Jr. as the main linebackers. But getting a team to take on Wilson's $8.8 million cap hit could be difficult. If the Bengals can find a way to make that work, it can net Cincinnati a much-needed draft pick and get Wilson a shot at contributing somewhere else. Now, I don't know what you would get for Logan Wilson. Personally, I think it'd probably be like a 5th, 6th round draft pick, something like that. Maybe you even did a pick swap there. Maybe you could get something, maybe a 4th if you did Logan Wilson and, a 5th for a 4th or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of pushing it, though. The main candidates that we've been talking about for a while now, Trey Hendrickson, Logan Wilson, Cam Taylor-Britt, and Paul Dehner Jr. also threw these last 2 guys in there in his article from The Athletic yesterday, talking about Jermaine Burton and McKinnley Jackson. Both of those guys, 3rd-round picks in that 2024 NFL draft class. Both of those guys are constantly game day inactives. And you even had Cam Taylor-Britt being a healthy scratch as well a couple of weeks ago. But then last week, he got back into the lineup and, played okay, I think. But out of these players, obviously Trey Hendrickson is going to get you the most. But like we said, I just don't really see a world right now where the Bengals trade Trey Hendrickson and, it's kind of up in the air right now in terms of Logan Wilson and Cam Taylor-Britt. So will the Bengals trade Logan Wilson? He did put in that trade request the other day, and, the Bengals historically have not necessarily honored trade requests. So let me know what you guys think. We're only a couple days away. Tuesday is the NFL trade deadline, so type your Y for yes or N for no. All right, the last category here from ESPN. Who could the Bengals actually target if they were to go out and make a trade? One guy from ESPN, Seth Walder, we have talked about here on the show, Seattle cornerback Riq Woolen. Last year, Notre Dame played more man coverage than any other FBS team under defensive coordinator Al Golden, who is now in Cincinnati. The Bengals have slightly leaned more into zone this year, but adding Woolen would allow Al Golden to play more man coverage. He also would make a very good corner pairing with DJ Turner. DJ Turner, by the way, has been absolutely incredible for the Bengals so far this year. And I do think Riq Woolen is a very good name to consider if you're the Cincinnati Bengals right now. Kind of fallen out of favor a little bit in Seattle. Has kind of seen his snap share gone down just a little bit, not too much there, but I still think he's playing, pretty decent football. The big thing about him right now is most of his stats have kind of gone down since he came into the league in 2022. As a rookie, he had 6 interceptions, 16 PBUs, also did a lot of really good stuff, helping you out in the run game as well, but pretty much every single year since then, it's gone down a little bit. Kind of seems like right now Riq Woolen just kind of needs a little bit of a change of scenery here, and I definitely do think that he could help this Cincinnati defense.